Moving forward.
Right now, a future president could be running as a local candidate on your ballot. This person is vying to represent you, your family, and your community. Do you know what they are and what they stand for? Vote411.org is your tool for accurate and unbiased, up-to-the-minute election information on the candidates running in local races. Just enter your address to get started. Your vote is your power, the power to decide who represents you in 2022 and beyond. Get online, get the facts, and make your voice heard on Election Day.
Moving forward.
So how's your day so far?
Okay, good.
Righteous, bro. Righteous. So,
All right, good.
got quite a few more interviews today. So we're gonna
Okay.
keep it right and quick, so that way
Okay.
we can get you all the time we can use for you in this first one. And I'd like to say right now, if you have a good time, I'd love to have you back on again in about a month to check in on your campaign.
Sure. Okay, that'd be great.
Righteous, man. So, let everybody know in Maui and throughout the islands who you are and what you're running for.
Okay, aloha everyone. My name is Mike Molina. I'm born in Maui, raised in Makawao, and prior to getting into politics, I was a public school teacher for roughly 10 years. And then 2000, I got elected to the county council and served for 5 terms up until 2010. And after that, I went to work and be part of Mayor Arakawa's administration for 8 years as an executive assistant, overseeing our boards and commissions. And then I ran for office again in 2018 and got elected to the council, and just recently got elected again in 2020. And I currently serve as the government ethics and Government Relations, Ethics, and Transparency Committee Chair, where we oversee legal matters and other issues. And I'm running for mayor.
Right on. So, with that being said, running for mayor, could you help explain for everyone at home what the mayor's part is in the whole system? Because I like getting the info straight from the source here, so then that way they know
Okay.
who to talk to and what you actually can do for them.
Okay, well, first, the mayor is the chief executive of the county of Maui. He oversees the directors, who he typically appoints most of them, except for the police chief, the fire chief, and the director of personnel. And the mayor's administration, they're tasked with carrying out the laws created by the council. And typically the mayor every year will submit a proposed budget to the council, and the council will likely massage it and make some adjustments. And the council passes the budget, and the mayor has the option of either signing the budget into law, or vetoing, or not signing the budget. And that, in a nutshell, is basically what the role of the mayor is.
Right on. So you already gave us a little history, and you told us what it does. What would you want to do in that office, sir?
Well, I guess the number one issue we have is the lack of housing. I know it's been called affordable housing, but I think we have to change that to now attainable housing. I've got several solutions. One would be setting aside county land, and we can build on that and keep prices somewhat affordable or attainable. And then we can also rehabilitate some existing structures that we can move families in, and also develop partnerships with builders and landowners to again maybe uh, cost share for some of the proposed projects that could hopefully be on the horizon. But again, everything must be done right and be well planned, and of course have minimal impacts on our environment. And other issues I'm looking at is diversifying our economy, relying less on tourism, and expanding our agriculture, hopefully to the point where we become food exporters more so than being food importers.
Man, that is a
And
song I have been hearing from all sides right now. You know,
mhm,
I was talking I was talking to someone from Big Island, and they were saying that
mhm,
like they've only got 1% of their budget is ag.
mhm.
I just like how do we not? I mean, for a place so lush and full of life, how is there not enough support system in for that?
Exactly. I mean, we've got the land, but I guess the what makes it difficult for small independent farmers is the cost of not only the land but actually more the water, then of course fertilizer and everything else. The materials consistently go up because of where we're at and having to bring in a lot of stuff. But I think government can come in there and help subsidize. And of course, we'll be having a Department of Agriculture, which can be advocates for our small farmers. And I believe with the Department of Agriculture and working with other state agencies and private agencies, I'm really optimistic that we can really build agriculture up. Since we've lost pineapple and sugar, I see that I believe we have opportunities to really expand our agriculture industry, and that of course includes ranching as well as just growing crop agriculture as well.
Right on. So, I'd have to say because if you're running for mayor, I'd love to bend your ear and
Sure.
know what you have to say about the proposed Kahului and Wailuku expansions that were recently announced.
Okay. Are you talking about the expansions of?
Well, the as far as the downtown living in Wailuku and stuff, and some people are kind of worried that it might lead to a gentrification wave more than a subsidized housing wave.
Okay. You're talking about like Wailuku and Waikapu.
Yeah,
Yeah, where more so those areas, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I know some people we're looking at are really insistent upon, and I agree that keeping areas like Wailuku and Waikapu separate. Yeah. And I think we need to maintain those buffers because each place has its own character, and I'd hate to see it to the point where it just becomes merged, lumped in all in as one community, because each place has its own distinctive character and history. So I think we have to definitely plan it right, and the role of our community plan. I guess our community plans need to be followed as much as we can. And I think right now we've got the South Maui community plan is due for some changes as well. So this is why we need everyone to participate and to help determine how we want our communities to look and have that feel. And so we don't have so much, you know, as you say, gentrification and uh, I like to keep our communities distinct from one another, because of their history and individual charm.
Right on. So, outside of those, uh, biggest viewpoints on the office and what you could do with it.
Okay. Well, I've always believed in open and accountable government. I've done that for 14 years as a council member. I listen with empathy and I respect all opinions and treat people's whatever they have to say with respect. And I believe leaders in executive positions like the mayor, they should serve as facilitators and not dictators. And all leaders should be amenable to maintaining open and positive relationships. And I see the mayor's role with the council critical towards having a good relationship, because if you have a very rocky relationship with the council, it's difficult to get things done. So those are some of the things that I aim to do in terms of establishing relationships, not only with the council but other community stakeholders. We all have to work together. It's always been my belief that no individual or candidate can do or has all the answers. I've always seen it that any candidate that says he or she has all the answers, that's a red flag. Because I'll use myself as an example. As a council member, I've put out some cutting edge legislation for housing and the environment, but it would not have been possible without the contributions of the various stakeholders from the community. And I've been always quick to give praise to those who've contributed. And that's what is important for a lot of people. I think you need to give praise and recognition to everyone, and that way things can move forward, and it helps people feel less disenfranchised with government. You have to make sure you recognize people for their contributions to make them feel like they are a part of our government, which is so true.
Patronage is key. I mean, that's one of the most intangible parts about a community is morale, and when you recognize what people bring to the table, they not only appreciate that, but they bring more to the table eventually.
You got it. And that's the key, bringing everybody to the table. You can't just work with only specific groups. You've got to get as many people involved, bring them to the table. Otherwise, you're going to have people, like I said, feeling left out, disenfranchised, and feeling like they're not a part of the process.
I would love to hear your thoughts about the entertainment industry in Maui. I mean, we got a few bigger
Mm-hmm.
pictures this last year. Even during COVID, HBO took up
Mm-hmm.
shop, and we have a lot more low budget pictures and ultra low budget stuff that's even starting to look like woofing farms, but movies. But
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear your thoughts on things that we could do with that industry and use it better for Maui.
Sure, I'm open to it. I guess working with the whoever our film coordinator will be, it does bring in money to the community, but I guess we have to make sure that what's portrayed here in Maui is done with sensitivity and
Yes.
not, I guess, any type of material that might be perceived distasteful. I want to make sure that I would want to make sure that we have Maui County portrayed in a very positive light, and of course now with COVID too, we have to make sure that we take whatever necessary protocols to ensure if there is an outbreak that we can do things safely and efficiently. And we do have a lot of talent here. For the entertainment industry that could be showcased as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. No. Personally, as someone who's worked office on a lot of these movies over the past few years, like
Mm-hmm.
I have to say one of the most disconcerting things to me is watching, um, really, really inefficient, cheap, low budget mainland pictures come out here and then use the tax credit. Spend $1 here, take $4 home. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I want the money. I'm with you. I want as much of the money to stay here.
Yeah, I really feel that there's I think to a degree just because like I kind of found myself alone in the office as like the only Kanaka kid that knew the paperwork. So it was kind
Mm-hmm.
of good for me because it kept getting me the job. But like it made me soon realize that there's just not a lot of I don't know how available it is there for those in that industry to find it, whether it be the
Mm-hmm.
talent or future producers or kids that are like, I mean, we just had all these kids graduate from this new flagship program from Maui Community College, and
Mm-hmm.
they're all looking to be filmmakers because they took the chance on not going off to like New York Film School. So how are
Mm-hmm.
we going to be able to ensure that they know the process and how to be a part of it and make something that's Maui built
Mm-hmm.
instead of just something handed off for a tax subsidy.
Right, exactly. And of course, if we're going to grow, make them homegrown products, we want to make sure we provide them opportunities to stay here and be in a profession that will provide them a real livable wage. Because otherwise, if no opportunities exist here, it'd be a shame to, They've trained here, and all of a sudden they're going to take their talents elsewhere because of a lack of opportunities.
So, from your perspective and your time spent in, I would love to hear what you think that the people of Maui could be doing right now. Either in ways of participating more or things you like to see more of the people. I really think that
Hmm.
like being able to hear that directly from those in office who
Hmm.
can champion them to come out and participate in any way.
Mm. Yeah, I'd like to see more, a wider variety of people coming out to testify on many of our issues. I mean, we have our regular folks that come out and testify, which is great, but sometimes you see the folks that come out to testify, um, their points of view tend to be the same, whereas you
Yes.
don't hear a lot from the so-called vocal, or the, what's that term? The majority, the silent majority. I like to
Yes.
see more of the silent majority come out because you hear it on the streets. You know, I've been approached many times with people who have a different point of view and they're expressing their concerns, but they're either intimidated about testifying or they just don't have the time to write. But the minute they see you, then they express your concerns. So, I would like to, encourage people to don't be afraid to speak your mind publicly. You know, no one is a perfect speaker, but I believe we all have it in our heart to say what we have to say. We may not say it uh, perfect in terms of grammar, but the council members get the idea, and it's always nice to hear other perspectives. So I would really encourage people not to be shy. If you need help, I guess these days we've been doing it by computer, via the Blue Jeans application. It's really not that hard. If you need help, please don't be afraid to ask. I was brought up with the philosophy is a dumb question is one that isn't asked. So always ask. There's no shame in asking. So that's what I'd really like to see a lot. And of course, more participation from our citizens on our various boards and commissions. So yeah, it's more. As a friend once told me, if you complain and don't participate, then don't grumble. Yeah, if you don't participate, don't grumble.
You
It's
know, when
it's,
I
it's
was
a
a
two-way
kid,
street. You know.
my grandfather was stationed at Camp Pendleton. There was this local newspaper that he would read
Hmm.
every morning. And I remember one election season when I was a kid,
Hmm.
because it was next to the comics. Because they back then those guys put the political cartoons right next to the daily comics, and they instead of the regular cartoon, the guy drew one card and it says, "I exercise my right to not bitch because I didn't vote in the election." And you put your
Yeah.
name here and you sign them and you hand them out.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a few years ago they had that slogan, "No vote, no grumble."
Yeah,
So to
absolutely.
that
You
effect.
know, I think there's
Yeah.
there's not a lot that I mean. Many people think that the system is broken. There's definitely a concept that I saw perpetrated on the mainland in my time spent there, that there's just this enough of an apathy that people are like, things don't get done anyways, you know. But I think
Mhm.
it's just they don't realize that that's the apathy is why it doesn't get done. And if you keep feeding that monster, then eventually nobody will care.
Exactly. Yeah. It's unfortunate, and I'm seeing more in a lot of the younger generation. And I guess if one could do the demographics as to who comes out to vote, I think you have a higher percentage of people over, say, 40, 45. Those are the folks that's voting. But I'd like to see more of the younger generation come out and participate because, after all, they're going to be the future leaders of our community. So hopefully we can find some more carrots on the stick, so to speak, to get the younger voters out there as well. Although I think there's been an increase over the last few years, but still, it's the older folks that are participating more in terms of voting, from what I see.
Mm. Well, we've got just a little bit more time left here. So if there's anything you like to cover before we wrap out, please.
Oh, okay. Well, I certainly would like everyone's support. I bring with me 14 years of experience on the Maui County Council on the legislative branch, and another 8 years as an executive assistant to former Mayor Arakawa on the executive branch. So I have a very good idea of how both branches of government work, the inner workings of our department, the budget process, and I believe, a solid overview how things get done. And I have a very sound legislative record. You can go and see what I've done on my website at votemikemolina.com. And please feel free to call me anytime. My number is 808-264-4859, and we can talk story. And I'm a very grassroots, low budget guy. I think if you've seen the recent campaign spending reports, my two of the other high profile name opponents, the mayor and Mr. Bisson, they're raking in a lot of dollars. I mean, that's their good luck. My belief, I just do it grassroots. I don't accept humongous donations from large corporations and things of that nature. It's just my philosophy is the more big money you take in, there's going to be an expected return from you. So for me, I've just been uncomfortable with being, well, I don't want to call it held hostage, but that's why I generally don't reach out to large corporations and other types of individuals who have tons of money. I just like to keep things grassroots. My donations typically come from retirees and small business and working families, and I'm so grateful that people with their precious resources are willing to support my campaign. So I'm just going to do the old-fashioned style. Nothing fancy. You're not going to see a ton of signs like the other candidates have, but my door is always open, and I love to engage with anyone out there.
Right on, right on. Well, I appreciate you creating less litter out there, because I gotta say, like, when I was younger and I put time into campaigns, I always appreciated the ones who either A, didn't make as much trash, or actually kukua'd all their stuff afterwards. Because my biggest grumble is watching all of those signs fly away 3 days after election because the losers picked them up.
Yeah. That's a good point. And yeah, I kind of operate from that same philosophy. I mean, I just put signs enough where in hopefully visible areas, but I'm not a big sign guy. Well, first of all, it takes a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money, but I've always been sort of like you. I want to minimize the eye pollution, so to speak. And I think people will judge you by your merits and not by the amount of signs you have. And it's just about coming up, talking story with people one to one, and making a few phone calls and making yourself available. And a lot of people appreciate that. They like that old style of campaigning. And I'm not one that I'm going to send out those mail outs, because I've seen it so many times. It becomes opala, just like the signs.
That's
people
right.
will just throw them on the ground at the post offices or wherever they see it. So it's just making more rubbish for the landfill. So I'm going to do my best to try and minimize that.
Hey, bro, you sound like the type of guy who could probably have a rockin' party in the Liquor Shack parking lot and get it all done.
Yeah, but I'm doing just old style, old school,
One handshake at a time, bro.
There you go, the old style, one handshake at a time. You got that.
Well, right on. Mahalo, bro, for coming on today. And I hope to have you back on in the future to catch up on your campaign.
Oh, I'd love to, Kawika. Anytime. You just give me a call and we'll set up a day and time. Love to talk story with you and your listeners again.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Aloha.
Okay. Aloha, Kawika. Thank you again.
Rabbit Holes is a Manava Cow production. This episode was produced by Kawika Hoke and Sarah Rodriguez. Make sure to subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast platforms to add our weekly episodes to your queue.